I'm Carine Pretorius and I'm playing Vivaldi Concerto No. 1, Largo and Allegro, Bach Sonata in E-flat major, Allegro, and Neil van der Walt Concerto Cinématique.
Okay, 3 candidates here with quite diverse programs, really interesting to listen to, well chosen and very well prepared. All through this afternoon, I want to say this again, I have been very impressed with the level of preparation. We all know everybody's very busy and we have a lot of things to do, and there's only 24 hours in a day. And after what we've been through with lockdown and with COVID and all, we're living in a changed world. And to get back into some sort of normality has been difficult for a lot of people. So I fully appreciate that to sort of knuckle down and really get a program together and to keep a level of consistency. It's commendable. So thank you very, very much. I've enjoyed that. Not only that, there are many other beautiful things that I've heard this afternoon, but that kind of holds the whole thing together, because the census is a lot of work and dedication that has gone into what we've heard this afternoon. So in number 1, there was an etude in the last movement of the La Tempesta di Mare, and then the piece in 5/8 by Neil van der Walt. In the etude, yes, of course, I mean, it is a flute piece. I'm not sure whether it's transposed for the recorder, but nevertheless, it fits the recorder very, very well. And it's, despite the fact that there is really no proper 19th century music for the recorder, it's still good to play music like this, just to get yourself around the instrument and make sure that you are really able to play everything that the instrument can offer. And this piece certainly takes you from the top to the bottom, including the top F sharps. I think there were a couple that were, if I'm not mistaken. Just be very careful that you don't clip long notes, whether it's a breathing issue or whether it's just not paying attention to the long notes. But for instance, the trill on G2, the dotted minim, I'm sure it was shorter than it should have been. So just take care with things like that. So I think when you play an etude, when you study it, you need to see the different levels, the different messages that are hidden in the music. When you look at this etude, it appears that you've got a whole lot of stuff to do, lots of rhythmical things and getting the fingers moving. But there's a deeper level, and I think that is to do with conveying the meter, and especially conveying the form of the piece, because it does have this middle section which needs a different character. But anyway, I thought you did it very, very well, but just pay attention to those small details. In the Vivaldi, I thought it was a great tempo. The scales, one is tempted to sort of try and play them as written, but they really are gestures, and exact rhythmical renditions don't really work. It should be like a long note and then this very accurate but very fast scale afterwards. They didn't have ways of writing sort of an accelerando in notes as we would today. Unfortunately, I can't show you. So you have to understand that the notation is really an approximation of what you should be doing. And again, seek out what the gesture is, what the affect is, not the effect, the affect. And from that, you get the good effect, or the best effect. I just thought that the articulations, although they were very well meant, could just be a little bit cleaner in places. In the Van der Walt was excellently played, well done. Oh, they were the top F sharps. Sorry, I was confusing it with the other. They are top F sharps there. I thought you did them very, very well. But find a way, if you have to play this in front of an audience, try and find a way of standing or sitting with a bar stool so that you've got just enough, because you are quite tall. And I think if you sit just on a high chair, so that you can play those F sharps with your knee without having to sort of bring your knee up and do a balancing act and then possibly fall over. I've seen that happen to somebody, and it's not very funny. There are some people that have incredible balance, and they can just stand, and then up comes the knee, and the F sharp is played, and down goes the knee again. But if you have problems with that, or you're scared that you might fall, find a chair. I think the piece would just sound better and communicate better if you stood. But I mean, what you did was fantastic. I was very impressed with it. So that there's a diploma for you there. For the next one, there was the Vivaldi, the Bach movement, and also a piece by Neil van der Walt. I'm not so sure about reversing the Largo and the Allegro. In other words, putting the second movement first and then ending with the first movement. Vivaldi deliberately does not complete the first movement. He ends on the dominant, and it's meant to go then in a very sort of almost sort of uncomfortable way, but it's deliberate, into the new key of D minor. So I would trust the music. I trust the composer. I think he does know what he's doing. Think very carefully what the piece is about. It's La Tempesta di Mare, the storm at sea. And not only when we look at a picture of a storm at sea, where we have the visual thing of the boat being tossed around, and everybody close to perishing in terrifying waves, but the wind. We cannot hear the wind in a picture, but we can hear it in a sonic representation of the storm. So I think you need to work out what is going on with the wind in La Tempesta di Mare. Vivaldi is also very clever in the second movement. It appears that the storm has stopped. And it's almost as if when you have these bom bom beam beam bom bom beam bom 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 beam beam bom bom, you think it's calm, but then the monsters rise out of the water again to terrify you. It's a very sort of almost like a naive picture, but I think that's what's meant. So Largo, don't take it too literally. It's Largo maybe in the bar, not so much in the beat, so that the piece doesn't sort of move from beat to beat. I think that's the problem. You need to have a sense of where the phrases are going. Yeah, and I would recommend that you actually do them in sequence. Ultimately, yes, you will do the last movement soon, I hope. In the Bach, don't take this the wrong way, but this piece, of course, is transposed from the sonata in C major by Bach. It is in C major. And quite honestly, I think it works better in F major. In E flat major, you've got so many resistance or cross fingerings that it actually slows the piece down. And everybody, I get a bit sort of almost annoyed with recorder editions, which just habitually take the recommendation by Ottertail to play flute music a third higher. I mean, you're lucky if they actually consider whether it's a minor third or a major third. Sometimes there are disastrous results with it if it's the wrong kind of third. But consider playing it a fourth higher. You will find it's much brighter, because it's in a fairly bright key, C major on the flute. Not as bright as G major or D major, but it is brighter than a flat key would be. Yes, of course, flat keys work very well on the recorder, but I challenge you, just go and experiment a little bit. It means finding an edition, and there is one available where it is in F major, and you might have a lot more pleasure with the piece, and it will help the tempo, because it does need to be, so that you're not really on the edge of your breath all the time. Then I thought that the Neil van der Walt really speaks to you. much more than the other music that you played. It was excellently controlled rhythmically, and it was a very good ensemble with your accompanist. So I'd like to commend you on that one. But I think with the previous things, I have to go with an honours for this program. And then the last one, the playing throughout was very steady. I was impressed with your sort of your solidity in the way you stood and played. It was actually very, very good. In the Telemann Fantasia, again, these are transpose pieces. They work excellently on the recorder. But if you just consider a faster tempo, and in that faster tempo, now not drastically faster, but just a little bit quicker, you will find that the short notes in the passages bars 14 to 18 and 35 to 7, where you've got ba-bam, beep, ba-bam, beep. If you consider them as an ornament to the long note, which is a bit sort of freakish because it's the wrong note. It's a long wrong note which resolves upwards to the right implied harmony note. Instead of treating them too literally, remember, notation is always a simplification of sounds, and it's very important to get behind what the notation is actually trying to tell you, because it can't accurately give you all the information. You have to build the other part of the picture yourself. Francois Couperin, the great harpsichord composer, says it so beautifully. I will not attempt it in French, but he says the distance between tablature, or the written notes in the music, and the way it is played is as great as the distance, or the chasm, I think he uses the word, this vast chasm between the written word and the spoken word. I think that kind of sums that up. The Sammartini, I thought you created a beautiful atmosphere. There was always a progression in the phrasing, and it was clear that you enjoyed this piece immensely. So I really was impressed with that. Thank you very much, and I give you a diploma for that. Thank you.